If you've been a dedicated follower of this podcast, then you're more than likely familiar with my commitment to addressing sensitive topics, particularly within the realm of mental health, specifically men's mental health. It's a subject that I've aimed to dive into more extensively, and I believe this episode presents a fitting opportunity to do so. Recently, I had the privilege of engaging in a thoughtful conversation with Micah and Stephanie, who shared their profound journey regarding their brother Jeffrey's tragic suicide this past summer. In our discussion, Micah and Stephanie articulated how men's mental health and intimate partner violence played pivotal roles in Jeffrey's later years and tragically became contributing factors to his suicide. Since this heartbreaking event, they've assumed the responsibility of not only sharing Jeffrey's narrative, but also shedding light on the critical issue of men's mental health, challenging prevailing one-sided and dismissive stereotypes. All of this is undertaken amidst the ongoing process of coping with their own grief. Jeffrey, no longer able to share his journey, is beautifully represented by his siblings, who sat within this very room and recounted his troubled life, struggles with self-esteem, the immense pressure he bore from a young age, and the love and light he sought to impart to the world. His fundamental longing was simple. Jeffrey loved, and above all, desired to be loved. In an effort to further support Micah and Stephanie's mission, links to their social pages will be provided, allowing you to follow and contribute to their cause. They remain steadfast in their commitment, and I trust that your support will aid them on this journey. This podcast has consistently served as a secure space for individuals to express their thoughts and emotions. As we navigate the profound topics discussed in this episode, I emphatically request your discretion. The content may be triggering for some. Please be advised, and thank you for your understanding.
I can't help you. All I can say is leave each other alone.
Well, even to know, like, in the back of your mind, you're probably like,
I was worried.
The fuck, dog?
Yeah, we're worried
I
about our
didn't
brother.
know this was going on like that.
Right. I was already worried. Like, whoa. Like, bro, I had a conversation. So I said, okay. So after that first initial conversation with her, she started calling me on a regular basis.
Oh, like, okay, well, I need to vent.
Yeah.
But then she started like trying to ask me questions about like my brother's past, like his past,
Fishing
like,
for
past
information.
relationships, past certain things. And I said, first of all, if my brother didn't tell you, then that's not my story to tell.
Yeah.
Number one. Oh, but like I just want to know. No, then ask him. Ask Jeffrey. Then don't ask me. Yeah. First of all, my loyalty is to my brother. I don't even fucking know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so like now, I'm the type of person. Stephanie could be cheating, doing wrong. I might go to her and be like, because morally I'm not okay with it. I might go to my sister and be like, yo, that's not right. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, get your shit
like,
together.
Like either break up or do whatever. But I'm never gonna go to her man and be like, yo, she. That's not my. Maybe that makes me fucked up. I don't care.
I dig it though,
my loyalty is to my family, to my sister, to my brother, to my wife. You know, all that type of stuff. Not to you. I don't know you. You're not my family. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm. You know what I mean? So then she started like calling me, and she knows because I was, we live together. So she's like, yo, this bitch is calling you again. She's texting you again. I'm like, bro, she don't stop.
Yeah.
She's not like it's like every little inconvenience in her life. She's texting me and calling me about it.
Even after Micah provided information, like call a therapist, psychiatrist, see whoever you have to see. It was like, oh yeah, I'll get on that. And no, it was just like to him. And then it got towards his wife. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
That's
like
too
she was
much.
like very like clingy towards me. And then she started doing it with my wife, like clingy to my wife and stuff like that. But then like she would say about certain things, but then she would try to ask questions about Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And it was all like just not sitting right with me.
Yeah.
And so then one day I get a text message from Jeffrey and he's like, why are you talking to Jess so much?
Ooh, okay.
Why are you texting her so much? And I said,
texting her so much.
Yeah.
right. And I said, whoa. I said, what are you talking about? I'm not initiating conversation with her. She's texting me. I got all the receipts. She's texting and calling me. I didn't call or text her at all. You know what I mean? So she was twisting things to him as if I was like trying to, he was like, oh, it just seems weird because it's like you're trying to get with her or something.
Oh, wow.
And I said, whoa. First, I said, bro, first of all, you're my brother. I would never do that to you. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm married.
Yeah.
I have no interest in your girl whatsoever. Yeah. That woman, and it's gonna sound fucked up what I exactly told him was she's damaged goods. Nobody wants her.
There you go.
That's exactly what I told him. I said she's damaged goods. Nobody. I understand everybody has baggage. Everybody has trauma, but that's a
smorgasbord of issues.
Right. Like that's a motherfucking buffet that I don't want to partake in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a Ouija board.
Yeah. I said, nah. I said, no, I'm good. Like, no, bro. I said, I can prove to you. She's the one that's texting me every morning. Good morning. How are you? Good morning.
So we weren't sure if she was just deleting it off of her phone and then not showing him that.
I'm sure she was.
Yeah, maybe all he saw was just him texting her, and it was just like, no, we have receipts. Like, no, this woman was doing the most.
But she was really like twisting things, and I feel like this is so important to like the broader conversation of mental health with men, domestic violence against men.
Yes.
Is that because unfortunately the reality is this. When we look at women off the rip, we're already going to sympathize with women over men.
Sure, 1,000%.
That's it's not that I'm okay with that. That's the reality.
Yeah,
we sympathize with women over men because unfortunately, a lot of domestic violence, a lot of emotional abuse, or intimate partner violence, a lot of sexual assault. You predominantly hear about it with women.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 1 in every 3 women, or 1 in every believe it's every 1 in 3 women will be a victim at some point or another of sexual assault, which means like you have met someone, probably multiple women at some point in your life who was a victim of sexual assault, right? And I believe it's like 1 in every 4 men will be a victim of a sexual assault or domestic violence. Those numbers could be skewed. We don't know because we are already taught as men not to really discuss these things, or we have a different mentality of like, oh, stop being a little bitch.
We look at it differently.
We look at it differently. Don't be a bitch. Like, just man up.
Yeah. When you say emotional abuse, that's one of the things that like, and I think I shared this with you where it was like a couple years ago. I came to an aha moment with my wife where I was like, I realized, I was telling her, I was like, in my previous marriage, I am a victim of emotional abuse, but I was so unaware of the language and didn't have the tools that I went through it as, I was depressed. I was normal, but even afterwards when I was like rebuilding my life and I was like, I was depressed and it was a bad time in my life, but nobody really sat down with me and went, Chacho, I'm bleeding. And went, you're a victim of emotional abuse. And I was like, what? But as my children are getting older, especially my daughter, we're having conversations and I'm hearing stories like this, or I'm reading things, or I see things on the internet where the conversation of men's mental health really is starting to get a lot more focus. And you start hearing these stories from men and the way that they were processing things. And it's like, whoa, that was me. You don't want to be considered somebody that's a victim of emotional, because what is that?
Right.
Well, she wasn't hitting you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, but I was in a place where I felt like I needed to do the right thing as a man. I was raised like, you don't just leave. You know what I mean? So when you have like an instance like your brother who, there's a lot of things that I'm gathering stemming from the loss of your father, where I feel like Jeffrey, you mentioned he wanted the family. He seemed like he was looking for an emotional support system, a structure, and was unable to see the flags. He was even willing to even hit you up and be like, yo, why are you doing this? Not realizing how weird that sounded.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking to your brother, dog. Why do you think I'm doing that? But they're blinded.
And I think that also plays a part, like when we talk about family dynamics, right? Like our mother was, looking back on it, I could see how there were many times where my mother was emotionally abusive to our father. Whether it was, you fat fuck, you piece of shit, like you're gonna have a heart attack and die. You're fucking fat. Throwing plates at him, and it was that back and forth. I'm not trying to say that my parents didn't love each other, right? Because I think it's very possible for people to do things unintentionally, whether it is emotional abuse and all of those things. or they're in a toxic place, or this is like normalized to them, so they're what's the word? They're mirroring, right?
Yeah.
It's the cycle. They're doing the same thing that
they know where it's going. It's a safe boundary for them, but to children, to people from the outside, that's like, whoa, what's going on?
Right.
Here?
But growing up, we saw that and we used to be like, oh,
that's just mom.
Mom's being crazy again. Oh, damn, mom's doing this again, or dad's doing this again. Like, and you kind of normalize it. You normalize it in your mind. So I feel like in those instances where those types of conversations were happening between them, like the arguments and stuff like that, he probably saw this. It was normal. It was normal. My parents did this and they loved each other, so this is normal, or this is okay. Right? There's a justification for it. Everybody, if you've never seen a healthy relationship, you don't know what it looks like.
Right.
So you're mimicking. You do what you know. Right? I mean, I was even like that when I met my wife. We were both very like verbally abusive towards each other, emotionally abusive towards each other, physically abusive towards each other in the very beginning of our relationship. It's not something I'm proud to say, but I say it for the context of we grew, we went through therapy, we understood this is not the way that the people who love each other treat each other. Yeah. People who respect each other they don't treat each other this way. You know what I mean? And like, this isn't normal. It shouldn't be normal. Yeah. And so I think that also plays an aspect into that, because those relationships that he had with other women were the same way.
I was about to say
all of the relationships he had with these women. And I think, again, we are inclined to always like believe women immediately and not make excuses for women, right? Like, there's so many videos you can go on Facebook or Instagrams, whatever social media you want to, you fancy, and you'll see jokes about women who women smacking their boyfriend. Yeah. Ha ha, is this funny? I smacked, or you know what I mean? I smacked them, or like, oh, shut the fuck up, like they're talking to each other crazy, and then you'll see comments of people defending that behavior and saying, oh, but that's the relationship with them. That's how their relationship is. Oh, y'all are too sensitive. Y'all are too whatever. Or jokes about like the Latina women who will slash your tires. Oh, haha, I got a crazy Latina. That's how you know the Latina loves you, when she breaks your shit. Yeah. No, it's not normal, because if a man did it, y'all would be like, whoa, he's abusive. He's toxic.
He's a stalker. He's crazy.
Stalker. He's crazy. Yeah. I mean, literally, like, and you see this all over the internet. Just yesterday, I saw that, like, it was a dude telling the woman, "Get the fuck in the car, shut the fuck up, bitch." Yeah. She was drunk or whatever. He puts her in the car. She said, "How you going to?" And they're arguing. He slams her door. She locks the door so he can't get in. He starts punching the window. Okay. Like screaming through the video, and I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy." And I've seen those same scenarios with women doing it to men, and people are like, "Yo, she's wild, ha ha." Yeah. Like, these women are crazy. These bitches is crazy. Yeah. But in the comments of this dude doing it, they were like, "He's abusive. He's probably she's gonna be on first 48. She needs to run, get out of that situation." So why is it that we're so quick to sympathize and empathize with women, but when it's a man, it's like, "Oh, he being a bitch." Yeah. Or like, "Oh, that's just a spicy woman." No, you're not spicy. You're toxic. Get your shit together. What the fuck's wrong with you? That's not the way people talk to each other. Yeah, you don't want to be talked to or treated like that. Why are you doing it? Yeah. Like, we learned this in kindergarten. Yeah. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, why are we having this? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so she was twisting it to make it seem like I was like trying to get with her. You know what I mean? Because he was like, "Oh, why are you texting her?" She said, like, every morning you do. I said, "Whoa." I called him immediately. I was like, first of all, I only talked to her because you asked me to get to know her. You asked me to get to know her because you wanted my opinion about her. Let me tell you what that is. She's fucking crazy. That's my opinion. Yeah. Look at how right now she just pit you against me as if I'm doing something with her. When first off, this is the exact reason why everything I save all the text messages that I had with her. And every time I spoke with her on the phone, either Stephanie or my wife was there. Yeah. Because I just knew that this was going to be the conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
there was a lot of stuff that he didn't know. There was a lot of stuff. I had a conversation and I'm like, she was saying this, and that about you.
She was saying some wild stuff.
And he was unaware of it.
Yeah, he wasn't. And we shared the video clip on the video that we made on his YouTube channel where he was like, "I didn't even know that. Like, why didn't anybody tell me that?" I'm like, "Bro, we tried to tell you." Yes. Like, she was trying to, like, you could tell, dig her claws in certain things, and I'm like, "Yo, whatever happened in his past happened in his past."
And then she was saying like he was like he SA'd her, like she was saying like crazy stuff.
Okay, she was saying that about him.
She was trying to say that about him, but to us. Wow. And I was like, again, yeah. Unfortunately, if we're being honest, we sympathize with women first, right? Right. We just immediately have to believe women.
Sure.
With no evidence, no nothing, we immediately have to believe women, right? So immediately I'm like, whoa, my brother did what to you?
Yeah.
So like now I'm like, bro, what's up? Like, she's saying you did X, Y, Z. Like, what's going on?
He's like, that's not even.
And he's like, whoa, like, what? You know what I mean? So it's like, whoa, like, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay. So she's painting this picture like she's a battered woman, like he's controlling, abusive, whatever. But at the same time, she was isolating him from us.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, there was a situation where they got into an argument, right? Like we were all hanging out at the house. They left for the night. He comes back. He's screaming, like he walks in the house and he's like screaming. He's saying to Stephanie and me, right, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm not doing anything. I'm not cheating on you. Look, like, I don't know who this person is that's calling or texting you and telling you that I'm doing this. I'm not even doing it. Like he's he's distraught. Our brother was so distraught because he was trying to prove to her that he wasn't cheating on her.
Okay.
Oh,
so they got into an argument afterwards.
Yeah, because basically somebody sent her a text message.
I honestly believe she made that shit up.
Yeah, she, you know, like those little text-free app numbers, whatever you app. So it seemed like, and we figured it out. She downloaded the app, whatever, and she was texting, I guess, her phone.
Texting her own phone number.
Like a whole conversation, like crazy. Just make her own conversation up. Wow. So Jeffrey came back. They had just left my house, and I'm just like, what just happened? I'm pregnant at the time. I'm like towards the end, and I'm like, I can't be under stress, and this is what we're doing right now. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, just show her, like, I'm not doing nothing. And she's like, look, someone texts and all this stuff, and we're just like,
this is a fake number.
Yeah.
And but
we're like, let's call the number.
But it was a claim that it was a girl that he was cheating on with, but it was the girl's name that the text was like referring to is a friend of Jeffrey's. Yeah. That they were friends for years, like gaming buddies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and doesn't even live in the same state anymore.
Doesn't live in the same state or anything. They had a little fling years ago, whatever. But she didn't like that he was still friends with her. Like she didn't want him to be friends with her because they had a thing years ago, but they didn't see each other like that. It was like a one time they were like, hey, like you're lonely, I'm lonely, like you know,
that was during the whole phase.
You know what I mean? No, that wasn't. That was way before the whole phase.
Well, they were in Vegas. That's when I.
Oh, that one was. Yeah, okay, so it was during the whole phase.
Yeah, whole phase.
Pull that to that way. Yep, just my bad. There you go. Perfect.
So it was during the whole phase, basically.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay,
that little encounter was during the whole.
Yeah.
Right. It was well before.
He knew this person though, but during the whole phase is when they messed around.
Got you.
Yeah. And so she didn't want him to be friends with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
With her. So that's what I think, and that's my like just assumption is that because she seemed crazy enough to do it, like text herself, like, oh, like just trying to separate that. Because again, she was constantly trying to remove him from other people. She didn't want him to be friends with certain guys because, oh, like they're whores, so you must be whoring around because they're whores. You know, it was just a constant, like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, he was working at a pizzeria. Jeffrey loved cooking. He loved cooking. He would always make pizzas and, you know, he's always trying to cook for us, mac and cheese dishes, like from scratch and all this stuff. Like, he loved to cook. So she was like, I don't want you working there because I can't be with you 24/7. So how do I know you're at work?
Yeah, I can't watch you.
I can't watch you.
Wow.
So it's like, well, and she would say to him, and she even said it to me, I have trauma and with my past relationships, then you have to deal with that. That has nothing to do.
Yeah, you're in a whole different
with your current relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's not an excuse to now say, you know, you're gonna essentially control this person with the hopes that if you control them even more, then they won't leave you. You have an abandonment problem.
Yeah.
You have a lot of different issues that you need to address that have nothing to do with our brother. So to kind of rewind again, you know, she was they come back to the house, they're arguing and screaming. That was the first time I physically saw her game, because he's like, at this point, like, he's like upset, like he's yelling, he's like in tears.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. I'm with you 24/7. I DoorDash so that you can be in the car with me, so that you know I'm making money. I'm going to make money to try to take care of your children.
Yeah.
Right?
When I play video games, you FaceTime me and we're watching it together. Like, you see me playing video games at the house and all that stuff. So what are you doing?
So he's like, just like, you could tell, like, he's like,
yeah,
he had just, it was like at that like boiling point, breaking point, like, what more do you want from me? And so she's quiet in the house, just crying and like, I don't like the, you know, that you're yelling.
Now she's the victim.
She's the victim.
She's putting on a show.
And I'm watching this, and I said, you know what? So Stephanie is like, yo, like, come, like, stop, because they were like kind of like arguing with each other. And so, you know, she was pregnant, so I got in the middle, and I was like, you know what, bro, let's go. So I'm pushing him out the door. She's like just quiet or whatever. I'm pushing him out the door. he goes to his car and he's like, no, you don't understand, bro. And like he's losing his shit. I'm like, bro, just drive away. You want me to go with you? Like, yo, like, just calm down. Like, it's not that serious. Just leave her alone then. Stop. Just leave her alone. Like, this is not healthy. This is not okay. Move out of her house. This is not okay. So then, like, I'm talking to him at the car. She comes outside and starts up with him again. Mm-hmm. And is like screaming at him and like, you're doing this and you're doing that. And I said, and I got pissed. I said, do me a favor and go the fuck away.
Yeah.
Go away. What the fuck are you doing? Go away.
Why come out here for?
Yeah, we're trying to keep him calm. Right. And here you are going doing all this extra stuff. For what?
So then my wife, like I tell my wife I come outside. So I tell my wife, yo, take her ass inside. Take her inside. Like, I'm talking to my brother, you know? So they go inside. I'm talking to him. I'm like, just calm down. Like, just okay. Like, just, you know what I mean? It's not serious, whatever. And so he drives off or whatever. But she's still texting him. Mm-hmm. So he calls me and he's like, tell her to come outside that I'm back here. I'm like, no, bro.
Wow.
No. And he's like, but she's telling me to come get her. So she's playing this game.
Yeah, both sides.
You see what I mean? Because in the house,
help me, but don't help me.
Which was unbeknownst to me because I was outside with Jeffrey. She was in the house with Stephanie, my wife, and Stephanie's boyfriend, talking about like I feel like I'm being abused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So this is all her trying to plant these seeds.
Yeah.
Of that he was controlling her and everything. So Stephanie asked her straight up. I think it was you or your boyfriend. Like I said, I was outside, so I didn't know the conversation, but I just know that they asked her 3 times.
Oh, that was
do you want to go with him? Yeah. Or do you really feel like you're being abused? Do you want to go with him? Because if you don't feel safe, we will take you home. Because she had come in his car. We will take you home and we'll make sure that he leaves.
She was fine after that. I was just like, no, I'm okay.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. We're fine.
Because we can remove him we will remove him from the situation. Mm-hmm. Like as his siblings or whatever we need to talk to him and tell him about or whatever, we will remove him from the house. Yeah. We will get him out of the situation. She went with him. Mm. Okay. A few weeks later, mind you,
leading up to his stuff.
Mind you, I had told her, I'm not going to play your game. Leave my brother alone. I'm not going to play your game. Don't call me for this bullshit no more. Okay? I don't know what game you're trying to run, but I'm not with it. I'm not with it. Just leave my brother alone. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. Like this is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Okay. So she stops texting me. She starts texting my wife.
Okay.
So shortly after that, she's like texting my wife about how controlling my brother is and all this stuff because she wasn't getting nowhere with me anymore or Stephanie anymore.
I was talking to her. I didn't care for her.
And so she started doing it with my wife, and my wife is like she's texting me, she's telling me that your brother's controlling. Like that's your brother's like that. And I'm like, no, you know what I mean? Yeah. So she kind of kept going with that whole thing, and fast forward, like maybe like 2 days after that, she calls my wife, like. Puts a whole show on. Oh, I'm scared. Jeffrey has a gun. He's in the house. Like, he won't leave. He's outside my house. Mm-hmm. He's banging on the door. And then click, hangs up the phone. And I said, what the fuck is going on? This is like 1 a.m. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So we're calling her back. And
I'm trying to call Jeffrey.
She's trying to call Jeffrey. And we're trying to call back the girl. And so now I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You're talking about he has a gun, all this stuff. Like,
so we send a unit over there.
So basically, like, we sent police over to her house because nobody was responding. Jeffrey wasn't even there.
Jeffrey was home.
Jeffrey had been home
his
all day.
His phone died. That's why
games.
it was just going to voicemail. It died. He was playing his video game. He was like, what are you talking about? I'm home.
Wow.
This whole time I'm home. And I'm like, home? I'm like, you weren't just at our house? He's like, no. He said, she been kicked me out of her house a few days ago.
I haven't even been there. I was like, I haven't even been talking to her.
Yeah, he's like, I haven't been talking to her
because she wasn't like responding to my calls or text messages.
Yeah,
like, so I'm just
and we saw it on his phone too. Even after he passed, and we were like, yo, he was right. He wasn't lying. He was home playing video games, and his best friend confirmed that he lived with his best friend. He was like, yeah, we've been here the whole time. His phone died. Jeffrey's phone died. That's why he forgot that he didn't have it on the charger.
Right.
So I was like, no wonder I couldn't get a hold of you. And I didn't think to call his best friend because his best friend works different hours. So I was like, I don't even know if he knows he's home.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, we're playing video games. So we're home the whole time.
But she sat there and made it seem like Jeffrey was at her house trying to like
ready to hurt her and all the stuff like that, and the kids are there and they don't know what's going on or they're sleeping. I don't know, some weird shit.
So at this point now, she stops. Now, like, there's no communication with us and her. Our brother is barely like reaching out to us, like not really like coming over anymore, like seeing us. Probably like a few weeks before everything happened, I'm having a FaceTime conversation with him, and I see her in the background just like trying to be nosy and look.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, like, what was that? I said, oh, she's in the background. And so he turns around, he was like, can you give me privacy, please? I'm having a conversation with my brother. And she, oh, hi, Micah. And I was like,
wow.
I said, you dead ass? So she was like trying to pop in and out of the video the whole time, and he got pissed. He was like, you know, I don't do this. And he said it so calm. He was like, yo, I don't do this to you. Like, when you talk to your family and stuff, I give you privacy. I asked you 3 times already to give me privacy. I'm talking to my brother. Then he turns the phone around. He's like, look, I'm talking to Micah.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, no, I just wanted to see if you wanted to eat. He was like, no, you're not. You're being nosy.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You're being nosy. So he literally like walks out the house, and we're talking or whatever. And I said, bro, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, this is not okay. We can't even have a conversation because she's constantly like inserting herself.
That was my next question. Really, was I knew right away. You guys mentioned that you can kind of tell the vibes were off.
Yeah.
But at one point, was it like you need to remove yourself from her?
Yeah.
Yes.
We told him to show me. That's when, this is like maybe 2 weeks before his death. He sends me a text. He's like, sis, can I come over? I really want to talk to you. I need that brother sister time. Like, I need to seriously talk to him. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, when do you want to come over? You know, whatever. He was like, I'm going to have her drop me off if I can come over today. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, come over. I was like, you know, I got some running around to do at the mall. We'll all go together. You spend time with your nephew, and your niece and all that, and we'll just go. He's like, all right. And then Micah came along with us for a little bit.
No, that day I didn't.
A separate day, right? Oh, I'm getting confused. 2 days. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. I was with
It was because remember because he FaceTimed me because you lost your phone.
Oh, so that's right. That was a different day. Yeah, that's why I felt like you were there. Yeah. Later on that day. That was earlier in the day where he came. Anyway, scratch that. So we went he came over, whatever. So he came over and we were talking. We went to the mall, and I could just tell he just looks defeated. At this point, he just looks like he hasn't been eating. His eyes are like dark circles. They look like an owl. I'm like, bro, what's wrong? And he was like, just dishing everything out. Listen, I don't know what to do anymore. I want to leave her. I'm thinking about going to a shelter. What can I do? Whatever. So I was like, listen, if you want to stay here, you're more than welcome to stay here. But he's prideful. He's like, I'm not going to go to my sister's house again and whatever, stay here. I said, listen, we have the room, we have the space, we'll start over. So he's like, but he used to make comments like, you know, at this point, I'm just going to off myself, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's not. He was at this point because he was just like, I feel like I'm better off. You know, nobody has to worry about me. I feel like I'm a burden to everybody. Yeah. I don't want to go to mom's house. I'm not going to go see Micah. I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do any of that. And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, we want you here. I said, how fair is that? And me being selfish because I'm just like, well, I don't want you to see you do that. Sure, but I'm like, how does that help us out? Trying to help you out, help your nieces and your nephew. They love you. You know, they love you. You know, try to give them that reassurance that we're here for you no matter what. Don't let this one person. This is a person that used to like, fuck bitches and get money. Yeah. And now to the point where she's dragged you through the mud and she's dragged you through the dirt, and you're like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, we got you though, bro. I'm like, bro, we got you. We're here for you. My boyfriend told him, hey, listen, bro, whatever you need. And at this point, he usually carries a gun, but he didn't have his gun on him that day. My biggest concern was like, I need your weapon. I need your firearm. I'm like, hey, listen, I have a safe upstairs. Once you bring it to me, take everything apart, put everything in the safe, because my biggest concern back in my head is like, I don't want you to hurt yourself.
Sure. Or the kids.
Yeah, the
Not
kids.
Him
or
hurt
any,
the kids,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
kids hurt themselves.
Yeah, hurt themselves, whatever. Or like if you're going to come back and start, come in our house, whatever, we have everything in our safe. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't want nothing. The kids don't know where it's at. And we have everything hidden from everything. He was like, yeah, I'll bring it. You know what, sis? Yeah, I'll do that. Or, you know, when you go to a shelter, you can't have no firearms, no weapons on you.
And the thing is that he was saying, well, I'll just go to the shelter on Monday. I'll bring the firearm to you.
Yeah, he was like, I'll bring it to you.
I'll go to the shelter that Monday. Because this was like...
he was leaving her because she was upset. And the funny thing was, he wasn't even allowed to come to my house that day because she was like, well, what if you go to your sister's house and then you don't come back and then she just keeps you from me or whatever. He was like, it's my sister. And that's what I was going to do. But he was like, it's my sister's house. Like, I'm going to go see my niece and my nephew. I haven't seen my brother and my sister in a long time. And now this is a concern. Yeah. And then she was worried about, how do I get on your sister's good graces that she can be in the house? I said, tell her she's not going to.
Right.
because I'm not that type of person. Yeah. You have a lot of going. How do I get back in your sister's good grace? That's not going to happen because now at this point, I don't even like you. Yeah. I'm going to keep you like this because my brother's there, whatever, for now. So I get him out of that, remove him from that situation that he's in.
because
I don't care for you.
And that's important to discuss is like emotional abuse, intimate partner violence, domestic violence, and stuff like that. This is something that builds up over time. It doesn't. Yes. It's not just like, you know, your first date, they're punching you in the face.
Yeah,
like,
no.
You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, this is something that you're slowly chipping away.
Yeah.
You know, she was chipping away at this person. And then when you add into the factor that Jeffrey already had low self-esteem or felt like low self-worth.
Like he couldn't do no better than her.
Right.
And I feel like that's exactly what I wanted to really touch base on, because I'm sure by this point, for those that are watching and listening, you are going to have these people with the comment of, why didn't he just leave?
Yeah.
Why didn't such and such just leave? And I think it's way easier to have that level of thinking without putting into consideration there was a very slow process that he went through. It's like this courting of the person that's doing the damage courts these people. But more so when somebody is in a state of they deal with depression, low self-esteem. Like I'm speaking of experience personally, where a lot of my relationships were with women that had problems, and it always really tripped me out. And I always,
you are what you attract,
Yeah.
or you attract what you are.
But not only that, you're also like trying to be like, I can save you.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. I feel bad for you. I can save you. There's
I
so
can
much.
fix you.
I can fix you.
I can change you.
I see the worth in you.
Yep.
And also, when you're raised to be a certain type of gentleman, you start giving it to the wrong person. You can't tell. So there's a lot of different things that are going on here, and I'm sure like that was difficult for the both of you to see your brother kind of like in this cloud, where it's just like, do you not see the shit show that's going on here?
And again, like you said, it happened over time, right? Because it always starts with the love bombing.
Yeah.
You know, because when they got together, it was like, he's so great. He's so amazing. I love him so much. Oh, you're so smart. You're so capable. I'm going to help you, you know, get your GED. I'm going to help you do this. And you're, you know, and it was all that like support that, you know what I mean? And everything. And then it turned into, I don't want you to work there.
Yeah.
I want to spend more time with you. I feel uncomfortable when you talk to these people. Why doesn't your family like me? And I feel like they're trying to break us. Maybe you should just stop seeing them. And that happened over time. So what effectively happened at that point is you've isolated him from his friends and family.
Yeah.
Now that makes it easier to control somebody when they have no support system. You have taken the financial stability away that he had when he was working, right? Then he his car breaks down, and because you won't allow him to work anywhere else but fucking DoorDash, how's he supposed to get the money to get a car to like rebuild?
Fix his car, get
you
a
know what I'm saying?
No,
so
1000%.
She effectively put him in a bubble.
He was very dependent on her.
She made it so that he depended upon her, that when
she made him handicapped, basically.
Like, you know, you have effectively disabled this person from being able to do anything without you.
Yep.
And that's the component that a lot of people don't understand. They say, well, she could have left. How? Even when with having the possibility of he could have went to live with Stephanie, the pride is like, well, I don't want to go back to my sister's house, or I don't want to go back to my mother's house at 34 years old. I should have it figured out for myself. Right? So he said, okay, I'm going to go to a shelter. Well, guess what? When he goes to the shelter, we don't have space for you.
Yeah.
Wow. But if it would have been a woman and a child, they would have made space.
Sure, 1000%.
But because he was a man, it's like, well, we don't have any like spaces right now. So like, it is what it is.
And he made phone calls. We saw it on his phone. We made phone calls, text messages. They were texting, oh, we don't have it. Try again Monday. Come again Tuesday. He's like, all right. And at that point, it was just like, he just felt defeated. He's like, yo, I can't even go here. I can't go there. It feels like I'm trapped here. And I'm like, and we kept bringing him like, hey, listen. He was supposed to meet up with our mom and us that day that he passed. That weekend. And it was just like, he's going to stay with us for the weekend.
He was trying to get into that shelter by the Monday. He passed away on that Friday.
Yeah.
Let's because I'm looking at the time and I know you guys got a boogie soon, but we got about 35 minutes here. If we can, if you're comfortable with it, and I know, like, I'm really grateful and I'm really appreciative. I'm sure this is the umpteenth time you've told this story, but I also know the drive behind it and the passion that you have for it. It's very, very important for you to get this message out. The story of your brother, but also really the like we mentioned, the elephant in the room, which is men's mental health. When did your brother pass away? What day was that?
July 2nd.
Okay, it was July 2nd. Who found out?
I'm sorry,
No,
June
it was
2nd.
June 2nd.
I don't know why I said July.
It was June 2nd. It was literally the day right after they finished school. Kids were finishing school, June 2nd, that Friday.
And I watched the video. For those that is it okay if I supply those links in this episode, because there is a video of your brother. It's pretty much the last video he made before he killed himself, where he is pretty much letting it be known the circumstances that he was living under.
Yes,
and that goes back to
and we didn't even post the whole video because he gets into some very detailed information between the abuse that was happening in the house, for one, and for two, he put her face in the video, like she was there. So I had to chop.
I definitely. That's
so
what I was
we couldn't
put.
That
I know you were
part.
cutting out a lot because
we want the viewers to know that she was sitting right next to him when
she was sitting. There was a point where she turned her back to the camera, and so it was very sad because it kind of came off like I felt like at that point he was very much aware of where he was going to go, what he was getting ready to do, and he was letting her know, like his final. This is what the fuck I've been dealing with, and it's a shame that it took that for a conversation to come about. But nonetheless, we're here. June 2nd. Can you give me a brief rundown of that day for the both of you?
So to talk about June 2nd, we have to talk about the night before.
Fair enough.
So Jeffrey had, 2 days before, actually. 2 days before June 2nd, he was having some health scares. He was concerned about his heart health and everything like that. Jeffrey was dealing with high blood pressure. And so he was going to the doctors and stuff like that and just trying to, figure out what was going on, make everything, good in that aspect. And they had already got into it because she was upset about the fact that he wanted to call our mother and discuss his health situation with our mother before he discussed it with her.
Okay.
So she left him in the middle of the street on the highway because she was mad at him because he told our mother about what was going on with his health
before he told her,
even though she was in the car with him. So it's like you're kind of like telling them both at the same time.
Fair enough.
But she got mad, left him. This was the first heat wave of the summer, so it was like 90 something degrees. Jeffrey had asthma. Just left him there to walk home.
Where at? I guess where was he left off versus where he lives?
Hours in the city.
Yeah,
she left him, I believe, on Lincoln Highway, and then he walked all the way from Lincoln Highway all the way to the Turkey Hill on Plum Street.
Lincoln Highway.
Yeah, so imagine the highway walking out. He has severe asthma. It's bad. So that being said, he was there for a couple hours. He was texting us and all that stuff, and we didn't even know he was. I'm working.
Now you're going into.
You're talking about 2 days before.
That was before.
Yeah, I'm working, right? But he's texting you. Yeah. I'm working. He's texting you and he's telling you, like, hey, listen, we didn't even know he was sitting in the city because we usually have our locations on so they can kind of see where our locations. Did you have Jeffrey's location that day?
Yeah,
I forget.
I had his location.
Yeah. So I guess what he hit you up. You guys were texting
the next day, which would have been June 1st, that night he sends me a text message, and he says it was like 10:30 at night, 11 at night, and he was like, hey, can you send me some money for an Uber? I'm paraphrasing. Send me some money for an Uber. I was like, yeah, I'll send it to him. I'll send it to you. And then, he was like, oh, never mind. The Uber wasn't running. She was going to pick him up. I offered to pick him up. He said no. I said, look, I'm only 20 minutes away from you. He was on Fruitville Pike. And she's like, oh, no. He's like, oh, Jess is going to pick me up. And then, like, I told him, I was like, okay, we want me to send you money for food. He said, no, I haven't eaten in 18 hours and I'm not hungry. I knew something was wrong. The moment he texted me to ask me for money for an Uber,
sure,
I will never forget. I turned to my wife because I was upset. I was like, Jeffrey only ever hits me up when he needs something. And it's like, why can't he just call me just to talk or to like whatever? Like, it's been so long since we would just call each other just to talk about stuff. But every time he needs money, he calls me or texts me. And my wife was like, so don't give it to him then. And I don't know why I said it. I literally looked at my wife and I said, no, because if my brother kills himself, I don't want that on my conscience that I could have helped him and I didn't. I still feel like guilty. Like I should have just picked him up.
Yeah.
because I knew where his location was. I was like, yo, I'm 20 minutes away, but I was tired, all the things. I'm tired. I got to work in the morning. It's late. Oh, I got to drive there. Where am I going to take him? Because I don't have my own place. So where am I supposed to bring him to? So I just talked to him for a little bit. I said, all right, I love you, bro. Be safe. He said, oh, no, I appreciate it. She's going to get me. Everything's fine. Everything's whatever. And I said, all right, I love you. He said, I love you too. At least I feel like a little bit okay that I got to say that I love him and everything. And then the next day, he sent me this text message about Monopoly Go to play. Too. And I was working, so I couldn't. And so I said to him, I said, hey, I'm working. I'll play with you later, but you okay? Did you eat? And he was like, yeah, I'm okay. Everything's okay. That was about like 2:00 in the afternoon. And then by 7:30 that night, I get the call I was talking to my mom, and we hang up the phone. All of a sudden, as soon as we hung up, maybe 2 minutes later, she started calling me again. I was like, I'm thinking maybe she just forgot to tell me something, so I declined the call. But then she kept calling, and I'm like, okay, something's not right. So I answer, and I'm like, it's not my mom. It was a police officer calling from my mom's phone, and I hear my mother. Like, I'll never forget the sound of my mom screaming. Like, that sound will forever be that. There's something about that scream, like a mother losing their child, that will never like leave my brain. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm thinking something was wrong with my mom, because my mother has heart condition, and she has degenerative. It's coronary artery disease, but she also she's in heart failure.
Okay.
Congenitive. What is it? Congenitive heart failure. So
yeah, that sounds right.
So I'm thinking something happened to my mom, and that maybe it was like, ambulance, whatever. And I'm telling like what's going on, and so the police officer's like, I don't want to tell you this over the phone. How fast can you get here? Tell me what?
Well, yeah, when you hear that, it's like just tell me now. What?
Yeah, I said, tell me what? And he said, I'm sorry to tell you this over the phone. Your brother passed away. And I was like, at first, I'm not going to lie. It's going to sound fucked up. But I was like, which one? Because I have other brothers. And if it's the one, then I don't care.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, honestly, like the way that he lives his life, the other brother, like that wouldn't be a surprise to me that he's dead. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, is it this other one? Because like, I'm not thinking Jeffrey,
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, Jeffrey D'Angelo, Solis, like, him. And I lost it. And I rushed over to my mom's house. I'm calling her, and I'm like, yo, I need you to meet me at mom's. And she's like, what? I said, I don't want to tell you over the phone. Just meet me at mom's now. Like, it's important. And she's like freaking out at this point. And then
the phone kept breaking out because he kept saying something about something happened to Jeffrey. And I'm like, what?
But at this point, I was driving down E-Town Road.
At this point, while he's driving, the
service is not very good.
Yeah. Sure. While he's driving, I'm already at dinner.
I'm a mess at this point.
Yeah. I'm at a dinner thing because I was about to pick up Jeffrey for dinner. I'm like, we're supposed to meet up with him. So I'm like, he's not answering my phone call. That's not unusual. And I'm like, I'm going to pick him up. We're going to go, me, him, my boyfriend, and our son. And I'm like, we're going to, go to dinner. I'm like, no, he's not picking up. Maybe he fell asleep or whatever. Because he'll take a nap in between. And he'll hit me up later on like, hey, listen, I fell asleep, whatever. My bad. So I didn't think nothing of it. So I get the call from him, and I'm like...
And she's like, what happened? I said, I don't know. I'm going to find out. She's like, well, why would you call me and tell me that he's gone, but you don't know?
We just got our food.
And I was like, I don't know what happened. I'm like, I just got off the phone with the police. Like, I'm going to mom's to figure out what happened. So when I got to my mother's house, that's when they told me like, they found him in I said, where?
Yeah, I got a separate call from the officer.
I said, where?
After he called me.
Where? You mean you found him? Where? Like, what happened? And they're like, on Granite Run, he shot himself. And so my mother's like flipping out, of course, and everything. And so my mom's like, well, did you tell Elena, which is my niece, her daughter? I'm like, how do I tell her that? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, how? Like, I don't know. How do you want me to tell these people? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think they realized that my daughter already called me and was like, something's wrong, Mom. And I'm like, well, where are you at? She was crying.
She heard.
I'm trying to calm down.
She heard me on the phone with the police. So when I ran to go change my clothes, because we had her for the weekend. She was going to spend the night.
Okay.
Like, she was spending the night with me and my wife. Every couple of weekends, sometimes we would spend time with her and stuff. So she was spending the night.
Yeah, she called me, like, you could tell it was like she was kind of whispering. Like, I don't think she knew that they weren't around. And I was like, what's wrong? She was like, what happened to Theo Jeffrey? Whatever. I was like, what are you talking about?
Because I was screaming to my wife because I went to ran to put my clothes on.
Yeah.
She's like, what happened? I said, we have to go to my mom's. Like, Jeffrey's dead. Like, Jeffrey, I have to go to my mom's house. And so we're like rushing, and it didn't dawn on me until like we were in the car and I see my niece in the back crying that I'm like, oh my God, like she heard everything I said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So from there on, you know, obviously we're like, I'm after I hung up with Stephanie, I was immediately calling the girlfriend.
Yeah, I called her too.
Like I'm driving to my mother's house calling this bitch, like, cause I'm thinking already you were the last person, and this was before I knew what happened. I was about
to say you didn't know the details.
I didn't know the
texted
details.
her. I was like, "This is all your fucking fault." All that.
I didn't know the details yet. So I was already like, I'm calling, like thinking like this can't be right. So I'm calling her to confirm like what happened and is this true? But she did, like she blocked me, she blocked Steph, she blocked our mother, like she blocked us. All of us.
Like if you're innocent from shit,
social
why would
media,
you block us?
from
why would
phone
you block
numbers,
anybody?
everything.
No decency to call anybody.
Yeah, she blocked all of us. Like the only way we were able to get in contact with her was my wife had to literally go on TikTok.
Yeah,
and find her on TikTok and send her a message just to get her to contact us because she had all of our brother's stuff. Wow. She told 4 different versions of what happened. Obviously, there was security footage, so so we already like know what happened because you know he did that on Granite Run, like right in front of businesses,
like in that business. That's nothing but businesses along that drive,
right?
Yeah. So that's when and then if we figured something, I was like, Jeffrey always records certain things. He had a GoPro,
and he always I immediately when I found out that this happened, I said, I know we know our brother like back of our hand, right? I said, I bet you there's gonna be footage on that GoPro.
Mm-hmm.
There's footage on the GoPro.
I said there has to be footage on the GoPro.
It was on his phone.
On his phone.
Yeah, he had it on
Jeffrey
his phone.
records everything. Jeffrey records everything. So whatever, it's gonna be on his phone or on that GoPro. So we were looking for that.
Okay, I got you.
But the police were the ones that had it, because she literally, when he did what he did, you know, when he shot himself, she didn't help. She didn't do anything. I
saw the footage myself.
Yeah, no, I was remembering watching your video, and at this time I was kind of baffled, very baffled actually, because it didn't surprise me that somebody like that wouldn't, but it's also like, wow, you didn't even rush out. I do recall that you were able to get access to the footage. So when you see something like that, because you're looking at it as a sister, but you're also looking at it, you're looking for information, you're looking for anything really.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind at that time?
So I was telling my brother, I said, hey, listen, I said, so me and my mom, we met up with the detective. So nobody was making phone calls to us. I had to go do the work. My brother had to go do the work. And it was just like, I said, I'm going to go in person and show face, because detective wasn't calling us. Nobody. Just Jazz didn't call us. Nothing. Nobody was calling us to tell us what was going on. So I went to the Manhattan Township Police Department and I said, I'm here to collect my brother's things. Well, who's your brother? So I gave them the information, whatever, and they're like, okay, sending the condolences. They
wouldn't give it to us yet.
No, they wouldn't give it to us because it just happened. But she was like, if you come, no, she gave it to me that day. No, that day she gave it to me.
No, we had to go, remember, a few days later to get his bag and everything and his phone.
Oh, but yeah, because that's right, that chain of custody, all that stuff.
The detectives were trying to go through his stuff to see if there was any like.
And we seen on the GoPro the detective couldn't figure out how to get into everything, so we got into it. So we were like, well, give it to us. We know his stuff. We'll get into it. She's like, well, what's his password? Give it to us. We'll get into it. We'll figure it out. We want to see first beforehand.
Sure.
Pick up his stuff, whatever. I finally was able to retrieve his things, whatever. I then asked to request who the detective was on the case. Found out who it was, Detective Jonathan Martin, and me and him had a discussion. I said, he tried to say that he called our mom, whatever. I said, well, what number do you have that you called our mother to give her the information, because she didn't get a call. Nobody got a call. And then he tried to say some sob story, which I could tell wasn't true.
Yeah.
So then finally I said, let's have a face-to-face meet. And I asked him, I said, I do want to see, I know there's plenty of footage around there and I want to see what happened leading up to Jeffrey's death. Okay, sure, come in. He was like, I don't know if that's relevant right now for you to see it. I don't know if you want to see that. I want to see it. My mother doesn't want to see it. My brother wants to see it. I want to see it because I feel like there's always going to be something missing in between. And no one's discussing it.
I'm gonna tell you what, I personally didn't want to see the footage.
I did because
we went to Granite Run before we knew there was footage. We went there the day after. We found the exact spot. His blood.
I'm gonna backtrack here. I'm gonna backtrack that. That day, that night that everything happened, I took a drive to Granite Run, and it was so weird because I felt like I could feel Jeffrey's spirit. If you're a very spiritual person, you know.
Sure.
And me and Jeffrey are like twins. So it's like, when that happened, I drove there and I was just like, I feel like he was right here. And I was right over the bush. But I was like, I could feel, I pulled into the same parking spot that they were at. It was so dark, you couldn't really see much. I pulled into the exact same parking spot that they were sitting at when everything happened. And I was just like, I can feel you here. And I feel you. I feel like I hear you talking to me and I can hear him say, I'm right here. This is where I'm at. And my boyfriend looks at me. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And I got cold. I was just like, I could feel him here. But I was just like, we'll revisit this spot in the morning, which I did. When the next day, push comes to shove, we moved the next day, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. That morning, I was not playing. I drove to this girl's house. I was just like trying to get a hold of her. She was in the hospital because she was panic attacks and all this extra shit.
She literally gave us, when we finally spoke to her, like her first thing was like, oh yeah, sorry, I was in the hospital. I'm so fucked up, all this stuff. I had eggs this morning. I'm like,
Angst.
Eggs.
Like she was just going through her whole day. I didn't care about all that. Fast forward. Really? I was just like, I was like, I don't care about none of that. My mom just wants to know. We all wanted to know what happened to our brother. But fast forward a little bit. We went to after we recovered his thing and we went through his phone and all that stuff. That's when we saw the video of that same day. So we knew exactly what happened from 3 o'clock to 3:45 to about 4ish, a little after it. So like, okay, so we had a whole hour. What happened within that last hour of his death is what we wanted to know. I got to see the footage, and then me watching that footage, I was just like, I didn't shed a tear while I was in there in that interrogation room, right? Because they're recording you and all that stuff. I kept looking at it. I even kept bringing the laptop closer because I'm like, this can't be right. I'm looking at it. There was about 8 to 12 minutes where Jeffrey finally gets out of the passenger seat because you can't see obviously the inside of the car, so you see the back of it. And the angle.
Well, first of all, where the building is, where the security
where
cameras
was it,
are.
if you don't mind me asking.
I forget what it's called. It was literally right across the street from
where the old Planet Fitness used to be.
Yeah, on Granite Run. I'm trying to think, and it's a bunch of buildings where they have like therapy sessions, and I forget what it's called. It'll come back to me, but it was literally
like 238, something like that. 235 Granite Run.
I know. I think they have it as 315. It's 315. I remember because I remember the call log. The call log when I got
315 is the address of
where they. 315 is
the building.
It's the whole building. It was it's called good something home goods. Something like it's not home goods. Something whatever. But I look at the video and I'm like. I see him come out the car and I'm like, okay, so within 8 to 12 minutes, she could have texted us, called us, hey, listen, I think your brother's about to do something crazy. I need you to get here right away, whatever. Yeah. She had time to basically contact one of us, even whether we were blocked on social media, you did all this extra shit, whatever. You had our mother's number. Hey, mom.
She had time to do the right thing.
Right. She didn't, though. So I see him get out the car. He's contemplating at this point. He's contemplating. And I'm like, I see him. He gets out the passenger seat. He goes to the driver's seat. He opens up her door. I guess says a few things. You can't hear anything. You can't hear audio.
Because, again, the way if you were to go there, I didn't see the footage, but I can deduce based off of where
he showed me a certain footage.
You can see that there's a camera at the one building that would have been facing the back of her car, but facing him.
Gotcha.
He wanted to show me the footage where it didn't look like it was just, I don't know, I guess crazy. And I'm like, well, a certain angle. And I'm like, I want to see everything. I don't care. At this point, you're going to show me. I'm allowed to see what I want to see. I'm going to get it one way or another. So I see it or whatever, and I'm looking at this detective. I'm like, we don't see an issue here. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm just waiting. I'm looking at it. After he slams the driver door, he goes to the grass or whatever, and you can tell he's contemplating. He kneels down and he's just contemplating. And I'm like, in my head, what's going through my mind is, I'm watching him, but I'm also thinking, I'm looking at the timestamp on there, and I'm looking how long it takes for him to do what he's doing, and why she didn't react to it. And I'm looking at the detective. I'm just like,
and she said to us too, like, oh, I didn't know he had a gun. I didn't know that he was gonna do that. Everything happened so fast. Oh, I didn't have time to react, basically. He knelt in front of her car.
Yeah, he kneeled
in front of her car.
Well, like he had his backside towards the car. So like he's looking at the street. The bushes is right here. So like you see the bush. He's looking at the bush, whatever. When he finally does what he does, I would say maybe like not even a minute or so, she runs out the car. She's already on the phone with 911. She runs out the car, whatever. She just looks over. I've heard the 911 call.
So now you're kind of
I'm visualizing everything, but I already heard it. I already read the log. I already heard it. All that I'm 10 steps ahead of you. I hear all that and I'm just like, so hearing her voice in my head after I heard what I heard and I read what I read goes into action now. Now I'm seeing the footage. And I told her, I said, I'm going to see everything. I know I'm going to see everything. My brother will let me see everything what happened from beginning to end. So she goes over, she just looks over, she's on the call, whatever. 2 people that drove by that saw the incident came back around, made a U-turn, to see it in the video, made a U-turn to try to help him.
Bystanders,
and like innocent bystanders. The one guy kind of holds her and was like pushing her away from the body. The other one goes to check to see if he has a pulse, and he does. He had a pulse. He was still alive. She didn't apply pressure to the wound or nothing. All she said was on the audio was that
his brains are on the floor.
His brains are splattered everywhere. He's dead. His hands are turning purple. He's dead. He's not breathing or nothing.
She never tries to put pressure on the wound.
Nothing.
Never checks his pulse. Never does CPR. Nothing.
Wow.
And in those situations,
those are critical.
It's
moments.
Critical moments. You have to.
She doesn't know. She just kept screaming, crying, whatever. You can just see it on the video. The guys, this innocent bystander is holding her, like pushing her away from the body, while the other person is checking. I don't know who he was. If he worked in the medical field or anything like that, but he was checking him and all that stuff. You see the ambulance come quick. You see them come over, rush over. They're checking him and all that stuff. They're trying to help him up, clear him up and all that stuff. At that point, the video stops.
Okay.
So he's just like, he brings it to that point, and I looked at the detective, and I was like, this is all I wanted to see, but I'm just like, I don't understand. He's like, you have any questions? I'm like, yeah, I have numerous questions. You don't see what's wrong with this video. And I'm just like, I see a lot of things, red flags here. She didn't help him out. I understand you go to a certain state of shock, but this is a person that supposedly said that she used to work in the medical field and she would do this and this and that. Okay, so I know people react to certain things differently, but seeing that, I'm just like, wow. I was just like, it broke my heart because I wanted to jump right through that screen and save his life and be like, yo, listen, this is what it is. It was heartbreaking. I see him do that, and it was just like, because I was like, I'm trying in my head, I'm like, well, damn, when is he gonna get closer to like what he's gonna do? Because I want to see it. Once I saw that, I was just like, I was in shock. I was just like, wow.
And it's the fact that he was still alive that bothers me.
Yeah, he was in the ambulance. They said that
literally he said, I can't breathe.
Yeah, he couldn't breathe. Yeah, he said he couldn't breathe. So it's like, but so the way when I saw the way the gun hit him, it looked like it was an accident. And I say that to say because the way he positioned the gun, it looked like he wanted to put the gun away in his pocket. It actually went off. The way he had the gun, you would think that someone would take it, put it to her head. No, it was actually like this, like it was tilt, as if he wanted to put it back in his pocket where he had it. Because you can't, you have to look at the video real closely to see him pull it out. He's looking at it like this, and he's contemplating. And I'm like, how did you not know that he had a gun? And you said numerous stories, and I can see it in the fucking video myself that he's just like sitting like this. He shakes his head, and at that point, you could just tell, in my head, I could just hear his voice saying, fuck it. But when he went to go try to, it looked like when he went to try to put the gun away, because he never once put it up to his head.
Oh my God.
He never once put it up to his head, and that's what I was like, and I looked at the detective, I said, you don't see the issue here? I'm like, it's like, I would rather it said like suicide by accident or whatever. But after, and I told my brother, I said, there's something wrong with this video here. I watched it. I wanted him to replay that shit, but I watched it, and I seen it. I'm like, this had to be accident, because I felt like he was going to put it away. The shit went off. And when it went off, it hit the back of his head, and he fell forward. And when I seen that, I was just like, I wanted to scream. I waited till I got into like my car, and I screamed. That was tough, because I was like, I didn't want to show my emotions in there. But as soon as I got in the car is when I went off.
Yeah.
I was like, how could you do something like that and not even help? You have innocent bystanders. I heard your message. I heard your log, all that stuff. And then like, you don't even help somebody that you supposedly care that helped you. So I think that's what's bothering me, is that seeing that, how you couldn't breathe. He still had a pulse. And yeah, let's say, whatever. Let's say he would have survived it, but he would have been a vegetable, whatever. To know that you at least tried to attempt to help, you didn't even do that. You had 2 innocent people come over like, oh my God, they saw what happened. They made a U-turn. They immediately came in and tried to like help the situation. I've seen the footage. So thank you to those bystanders that were actually, that tried to help. That went in full like mode to try to save somebody's life. But then to go in the ambulance, okay, he passed away inside the ambulance. And then that's when, they try to clean it up as much as possible, which I think they did a horrible job, because when we got there, we saw we saw some stuff and we figured where everything was at. So that's the hurting piece. And then it was just like, I knew, what I mean? I was like, I told my brother, but I know he didn't want to see it, and my mom, and I'm glad. So when we did his funeral and stuff like that, it was very beautiful for one. Fast forward, we didn't do an open casket or nothing like that. They cleaned him up pretty nicely, whatever. Okay. We had to identify his body. So we didn't let our mom go see that, because she was in the hospital. She just got a stroke. Yeah, she had a stroke the next day. Less than 24 hours of him passing away, she had a stroke. So that, and that's another topic. So it's like she had a stroke and all that stuff. So it's like Micah had to deal with that on that end, and I'm over here like, damn, I feel like I'm the only one standing there. I can't even grieve, to the point where it's like I have to worry about. We couldn't. We had to be on our 10 toes. Like,
we're sitting here trying to come up with $11,000 to pay his funeral.
Yeah.
My mother, has a stroke in front of me. I like she almost chokes on her vomit. Like, I'm trying to save my mom.
The last thing it was on, we're going to bury our mother and our brother in the same week. So we couldn't do that. So then he's having his anxiety attack. He's going through what he's going through. Then I went
in the hospital that same night because I, like we talked about as men, we're trying to, keep everything in. When everything happened, I'm calling the coroner. I'm calling the funeral home. I'm dealing with that. I'm trying to take care of my mom. I'm
putting the money together. I'm trying to let our family members know. I'm like, this is crazy.
I'm trying to conceptualize everything. Then everything happens with my mom. I got to spring into action. And like, it's like, it was so much that it was like by the end of it, I'm literally, my mother's in the hospital after that whole thing. I get to the hospital and I'm sitting in my mother's hospital room, and Steph looks over and is like, bro, you're pale. And I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. Like, it was so much. The point that we try to bring to this is like, regardless, okay, we weren't in his head. We don't know if he was going to do that or not, or if something could have changed. But to me, it's like, bro, but you abused our brother.
Yeah.
For almost a year. He was peeing in a bucket because you wouldn't let him use the bathroom in your house. Brushing his teeth in a washing machine because you didn't want him to use the bathroom.
Yep.
And then you got assholes online who will say, well, he was a man. Okay, but if he would have killed her or beat the shit out of her, then he'd be in jail, right? You would say something's wrong with it. Obviously, right? You did something wrong. But why aren't we talking about the fact that men can and do, in fact, become victims of violence, of domestic violence, of intimate partner violence? I think about that a lot. Like, damn, if you would have never met this bitch, would he still be here?
Yeah.
Or if I would have said something differently, or if I would have just picked him up that night that I said, I'll just come get you. What if he would still be here? Like, I have to live with that. And I know people say, oh, you can't think about that. It's not your fault, or there's nothing that would have changed or whatever. But I don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that.
I don't know that. What if I would have just got the fuck out of bed and drove to where his location was and picked him up and just took him back to my friend's house where I was living at the time? Like, would he still be here? I don't know that. And that's something I have to live with. Or the things that I said to him, like, oh, get over it, be a man. We're men. We're not supposed to be like that. Like, what if I would have said something different that could have changed the way he looked at himself? Maybe I should have been more compassionate and said, bro, it's okay. Like, we all fall. Like, we all have situations. That doesn't make us bad people. We're not bums. We're not like unworthy of living just because we're not financially okay yet.
Yeah.
Shit, most men don't get their financial status until they're in their late 30s or 40s or 50s. I wish I would have been more encouraging in that part. But like Steph said, what's the hurt piece is that the way that she treated him, the way she isolated him, and then after the fact, not one time when we went to that woman's house, and her children were outside and they were like, yeah, our mom's a piece of shit, basically, and did all this stuff, and they were trying to keep them apart because they realized that it was toxic. These are 16 or 17-year-old kids that knew that something was wrong with the mother and knew there was something wrong in the relationship and was trying to protect our brother from her.
Wow.
Yeah. And I sit outside and I said to these kids, I said, it's not your fault that you didn't ask to be born to the parents you were born to. Amen, I hope that you become great people in spite of your mother.
Mm-hmm. I said, I hope you guys, when you guys reach 18, move out this house and do what you got to do for you.
And I said to them, I said, damn. I said, the adult in this situation doesn't even have the fucking, and I said it just like this, she don't have the fucking vagina. She can't be a woman and come out here and give her condolences to our mother or to us. Because at the end of the day, you were the last one with him. And I said to her, and when she came out, God forgive me, but when she came out, I told her, I said, I hope that haunts you for the rest of your life. I hope every time you close your eyes, that's the last thing you see. Mm-hmm. Because my brother did that for a reason. That's why he did it in front of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the best thing, too, for people to somewhat understand, too, is nobody in their right mind would choose to want to willingly be emotionally abused in such a way. And so when you see something like that happening, I think if we could normalize the conversation more by saying, like, we got to start talking about where men are at mentally.
Yeah.
It's hard listening to the story because right away it's like, I know a lot of guys that go through something like that. Mm-hmm. I've experienced things, not to that degree, but enough to be like, damn, where was I mentally that I allowed that to happen?
Right.
And you're right. 20/20 hindsight can be the biggest burden sometimes to carry. but I think it's safe to say that you were also in a place of loving and supporting your brother in other ways as well. That one moment hopefully shouldn't haunt you. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's understandable because you never know what can happen.
Right.
I've had that experience with my own father. You know, like I wish I would have just not been such a fucking pissed off person because you wouldn't reach out to me, you know, and I wish I would have stayed in touch more. I wish I didn't introduce him to my last daughter because he didn't even know she was born. Yeah. I regret that now. Yeah. But you don't know that. Yeah. You don't know. But I do applaud you both because considering all that and still trying to like I said, you've told the story numerous times already, but I know it's important to you. And it's a shame that he didn't get the right. I'm assuming that that's also a burning factor. Is like he deserved better. Even in the situation that he was in and the way that he died, he didn't deserve to die like that. Yeah. You could have at least gotten out. And I think that's important for a lot of people to understand. Like, people show you who they are more than once. And I feel like she really showed who she was in that moment to solidify your assumptions and opinions of her prior to that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's like, I don't know, let me get to know this person. I think you guys were pretty square on with your assumptions about
I
her.
trust my gut when I meet somebody. 1000%. And it's never left me astray because I'm not informed by my trauma. I look at people for who they are, and I don't need to. If there's in a lot of situations, I feel like I don't need to have a conversation with you. If I feel like you're off, you're not going to be around me. It's just that simple. Yeah, I don't, so, and this is why we're doing these podcasts and doing the videos that we do, and it's because we want our brother's memory to stay alive in a sense. Yes, talk about the good times, and the bad times, and talk about him, but also this is why we want to start a foundation for him. Like, there's things that we want to do for not just in his memory, but for other men out there. That's why, if you notice, our shirts say "Just Do Something." Yeah, which is
I love it. Thank you for getting me one. I'm going to take a picture in it soon.
Which is JDS, which was our brother's initials, Jeffrey D'Angelo Solis.
Got you.
Just do something. So if you see somebody that is struggling emotionally, mentally, just do something, and that goes more in line even with the fact that this woman, it was inaction. You did nothing. Yeah. When you had an opportunity to do something, you chose not to do anything. And sometimes it's just as simple as saying, I mean, you could have lied to him for all that, Yeah. You know what? Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. How can we figure this out?
Let's figure this out.
The same way you lied throughout the whole relationship, just be like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. Let's work on it. This is not, let's not go.
Hey, I don't condone lying, but sometimes you gotta lie.
In that situation, I mean, like, you have to get that person off of, what they're going through, or like whatever. Get them off of that situation and be like, listen, let's work on it. I'm sorry. And while you're saying that, send us a text before, like, hey, listen, this is where we're at. Come quick, come right now. Absolutely. I'm gonna try to do whatever I can do. Bye. See you when you get here. Right. But then we'll be like, yo, we're on our way. None of that. And there's no compassion. There was no emotions afterwards. It was just as soon as we saw it wasn't my fault.
Right. To me, I feel like you wanted that to some extent. My opinion is anyway, because I mean, in front of our own mother, she said before, he should just kill himself. Yeah. Oh wow. Who says that? Like,
this is the person that you're with, that you care about, that you love. Like, I don't get that. And I'm sorry, like, to take away it, I want the viewers to know, if you're going through something like this, a situation like this, and the I'm sorry shit is just going to get worse. Yeah. You're going to go back and say, no, you're not going to get better. That person has to get themselves better before they do anything in reference to, like, trying to be with that, being together in that situation. Like, just leave. As hard as you can, get the help that you need to get away and not look back, because it's like, you don't want to end up like with those thoughts. And I'm sure we all have those thoughts. I've gone through it, or he's gone through it, you've gone through it. But then it's like, you have this, selfish as it is, right? Then you're just like, to me, it's like, I gotta snap out of it. I can't be like that, because one, I start thinking about other things. Our father wouldn't like that. I have kids now. I have my brother, my mother. I have people that care about me. I know they genuinely care about me, but it's like, do I care about myself in that moment? No. Yeah. I'm being selfish. I want to do something to myself. Right. And just forget it. But then it's like, damn, he like what we were talking about, him doing that. Okay, yeah, he did what he did, and it's like, we have the pain and suffering. We deal with the pain and suffering.
When you die by suicide, when you take that avenue, you're just transferring the pain to someone else. Yeah. And I've been in those situations. I've tried to commit suicide, 3 times in my life. I've tried to. And in the moment when it's like that one moment where you kind of feel yourself slipping away is regret. I've been like, oh my God, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't really want to die. I don't want to hurt, or I want somebody to care, or I need somebody to tell me it's going to be okay, or I need that support. You know what I mean? And I think that it's important for people to recognize that it's not that you want to die. You just don't want to feel the way you do. And it's just, I know it sounds difficult, but it's just a moment in time.
No,
and it
absolutely.
will pass.
Absolutely. And on the flip side too, it's also like trying to understand where people are when they're in a state of, this is my only option.
Yeah.
That it shouldn't be taken lightly. You know, I feel like this conversation really is shining a good light on not only mental health in regards to like what we're talking about, but also like somebody that does something like that, or back to our conversation when we were talking about, you know, she was posting things and looking for attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is what it is.
Yeah.
It's they're in this place, whatever it is, and they're asking for help.
Yes.
Or they're just going to do something that they are going to. I would think that Jeffrey is regretting this action, you know, in regards to like, he's not able to see his family, like you guys grow, nephews and nieces grow, but hindsight is 2020. We come right back to that.
Right. But there are some things that you can't undo.
Right. At 1000%.
And it's important to think about those things. Like, you know, you feel this way now, but you're not always going to feel like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's taken a lot of therapy for me and a lot of growing up to recognize, you know, I'm not always going to feel this way. Yeah. Right now I'm hurting. Right now I'm angry. Right now I have a lot of feelings. I'm not always going to feel this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what? I'm not going to take that step because I don't want to feel this way now. Sometimes you just have to go through the feelings.
Yeah.
You got to feel it, and eventually you will get through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, and that's why, like I said, it's so important to us, and why we've talked about doing a foundation in Jeffrey's name, try to have shelters for men, because there are men out there that go through domestic violence. There are men out there that go through mental health issues that don't have resources. I'm not saying that women shouldn't have resources, because we can talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
1000%.
Women have plenty of resources.
But women have
fair.
Men, you
fair
fairly
to have
see
this
it.
conversation.
Yeah. You
Yes.
have to. Let's call it what it is. It
Yes.
is what it is. Women have
plenty
all
of
resources.
Men need resources.
Men need that too.
You know, there are plenty of vets out there with PTSD that struggle with suicidal ideations,
Sure.
that don't have any support from the government, the country that they served. You know, to get help, whether it's mental health help, whether it's housing. You know, I can't tell you, just right there on what is that? Wallbank and is that Wallbank? No, Marietta Avenue and Columbia Avenue, where they intersect. That one corner, there's always a homeless vet.
Well, Marietta Avenue and Columbia
Is
Avenue
that-
are parallel.
Or parallel. So what's that one street that's in between?
There's several.
There's Marietta, and then there's the one street that's in between by that.
I can't. The
by
Prospect?
that Sunoco. Is
Not
that Prospect?
Oh, you said Sunoco.
Oh, the Sunoco.
It's Prospect Road.
There's a
yeah.
Sunoco
It's like
on the
Prospect.
Columbia Avenue.
Yeah,
and
Columbia
Georgetown
Ave.
Road.
No, you're too far up. It's closer to the city.
It's Prospect Road. It's where we turn off on Marietta Avenue, and the Sunoco's on the left-hand side.
Whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
There's a street where Marietta and this one street intersect, and
Okay.
every day I pass by there, and it's the same homeless guy
Okay.
that says, "Vet, homeless, anything helps." It. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I understand.
He's always standing on that corner, and it's like, and I think to myself often, like, what can I do to help that guy? Yeah, I could give him money.
I try to get people food. Like if I have food
You
in the
know,
car,
I
whatever,
could do
I
that, but
whatever.
like, okay, but that doesn't.
Yeah,
That's
It
an
doesn't
immediate-
solve
Yeah.
the
just for
issue.
that's a situation for like for
You know
now.
what I mean? It doesn't solve the issue. Like, okay, like how can we get people who are drug addicts or who are in abusive relationships, men that are going through these things, how do we help them? Granted, we can only do so much.
Right.
But I feel like there has to be some type of resource out there for men, because again, Jeffrey there's no domestic violence shelter for men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. At least not that I've seen. I know there's like the YMCA or the YWMCA, that they have like the shelter up top, but that's for women and children.
For women. Yeah.
The YMCA doesn't have anything for men.
Yeah.
You know, like you have these conversations that, there's men that are victims of intimate partner violence, and people will laugh and say, well, they're men.
Yeah.
They can beat her up or they can get out. Like I had a conversation with a guy who was like, after my brother had passed, and was like, oh, well, he was bigger than her. Even the detective was like, he was bigger than her.
Oh, he's 6 foot,
He's
240
6'2".
pounds, 150 pounds. He could have got
He
away.
could have easily like gotten out of the situation.
Yeah.
Well, You know, sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I wish I'm like, yo, why didn't you just punch this bitch in the face?
No, yeah,
you know what I mean. And again, I'm not advocating for violence, but it's hard not to think about that sometimes when you have so many people that are like, well, he's a man and he could have did this and he could have did that, and then you start to wonder like, why didn't he?
Yeah,
and it's the
that's what I was gonna get right into. Yeah. And that really, again, that comes back to like, it does make sense to sit there and go, why didn't I? There was times where in my past relationships where I was like, I'm really going to knock you out.
Yeah.
But there were so many other levels of knowing that's wrong, knowing I'm a man, knowing what that'll look like. I need to keep myself. My emotions need to be. Yeah. There's men think like that. And it's like, nah, I'm good.
I can't wild out. I can't be emotional.
I know what this will look like. My mother's going to wonder why I did this. The women in my family are going to want to know why I did this. Again, not advocating it. Yeah. It's not right. But considering where men go because of emotional abuse or any type of abuse, doesn't surprise me why we are where we are now. And to couple with what you were saying, like it does help. We need to start having these conversations and having these places, but the conversation really needs to start because you can have these places and men are going to be like, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to do that.
So we need to change the narrative. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by doing that is by having these conversations, talking to our children, raising them differently. Not so much like, you know, you want to have a sense of pride as men, but come with an emotional understanding where I tell my son all the time, he just started dating, as a matter of fact. He's 17 years old. He just started dating this girl. He likes her. And the first thing I told him was, Papi, you just make sure that she treats you good. I know you're going to treat her good because I raised you better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that doesn't mean treating her good doesn't mean you allow her
to treat you however she wants.
To treat you however she wants, because if you remind her, I'm sorry, I have boundaries, that's not disrespecting her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's respecting yourself. Trying to instill that in our children is really where this needs to start. Because I see this happening and I want it to happen, but it's going to take like a good 15 years to get as a nation, as a people. Yep. And it starts with like I said, these conversations, normalizing them, putting them on podcasts and shows. And man.
I mean, shit, the conversation now, people will say, men are too effeminate. Men are too feminine. They're having, you want to have self-care, like do your nails and do this. Oh, that's so, you're acting like a woman. Yeah. You're acting like as if it's so like beneath us as men to like be in tune with our emotions and also to give ourselves self-care and self-love. Like we're not, it's like so many people think of it as it's like a badge of honor in your maleness, your manhood to suffer.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not suffering enough, you're not man enough. Yeah. Or you're not a real man.
I appreciate that. And to be full transparent, and like I've learned from this podcast because in my 20s and 30s, that was my mindset. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And as I've grown older and I've had conversations, I've learned to be like, look, there's some things that I like to do and there's some things that I don't, but I can't knock you or put you in label you.
Yeah, put you in a box.
Yeah. Right. At the end of the day, we are who we are. We have to live our truth and we have to just show love and respect to each other. That's, I feel like, also a part of where men will be comfortable. Yeah. I got some things on my mind I need to talk about because they feel that residual respect and love all around. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I appreciate this. Yeah. Appreciate y'all coming down.
Thanks for having us.
Oh my God. Like I said, I know y'all gotta go. I could talk forever. We're about 10 minutes. I know. I was like,
this conversation. This is like
I'm doing the pee dance right now.
We can have this conversation. This conversation is so broad, and you can continue having this conversation and spreading the awareness. But it's like, we just need the people to do the work too as well. Absolutely. Everyone has to play their part.
Yeah, we have to shift the narrative. It can't always be about stop acting like a woman or being like a feminine. Oh, men are we're supposed to be this way. I see it all the time, man. Yeah. Always people saying like, oh no, like when are men gonna go back to being men and stop doing this?
That's a conversation I've seen before, and I'm like, I hate who's that. I'm the alpha male, and I'm like, bro, like not for nothing.
I try not to read some of the comments too because it's like it's stupid. You're like, I'm like, you guys don't have a brain, and that's literally what I'm like. There's no common sense. That's my favorite line. I'm like, you don't have any common sense, and there's no brain in your head because it's like, okay, but if you know somebody that was going through something similar to that, whatever, my cousin or my brother or whoever, they shouldn't have to go through that, but it's somebody else, and it's like, oh well. He was 6 foot whatever. He was 200 and whatever pounds, and he couldn't get through this. No. It's ridiculous. It's wild.
I feel like if we're going to talk about real men are the ones that understand that this is what needs to happen. These conversations needs to happen.
Whether it's uncomfortable conversations need to happen.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's how we grow.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, Micah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Glad we met.
Now you got to get on our podcast at some point. We'll just talk more shit.
Go for it.